Kono, we know Kono for a lot of good and horrible things. But this particular one, it precedes all of the other horribles that we're known for. A horrible where the life of the son of this soil is being threatened by a non-entity, by a group of people who identify themselves as SLPP. A life of the son of this soil, a honorable former vice president of this nation, in his own city, in his own home, at his uncle's funeral. People try to assassinate him. This tops the list of all the horribles I've ever heard about Kono. But first, I want to express a sincere condolences to the Kongoba family. May the soul of the late PC rest peacefully. On a particular note, I also want to express my sincere, my heartfelt pain for the loved ones of the late PC. No loved one deserves for experience the horrific events of yesterday, the 12th of July. What didn't happen yesterday na Kwedu City? It don't create so many pains in the hearts of most people and with them in day. The one the way we hear whatever you hear, but you women did it like I was. You would be ashamed of yourself as a Kono person sitting there to witness what happened yesterday. It's so horrible. It took me time to even write it down so that I can actually analyze it without emotions. First things first, Sam Sumana and his entourage arrived at the funeral of late PC Kongoba at 11:30 a.m. yesterday. The incident occurred at around 3:30 p.m. That's 4 hours difference from the time he arrived with his entourage to the time the incident took place. These are the facts. When Sam Sumana arrived, he sat down at the high table with all the other dignitaries. Of all those dignitaries that were there, including government officials, he thanked them for coming to attend his uncle's funeral. He welcomed them to their Kongoba house, their home, and he admonished them and he said, this is not politics time. This is the time, this is the mourning time. This is the time for us to bask in the memory of late PC Kongoba, my uncle. He encouraged all of them to work together. I'm not saying this, I say this because I was there. Out of all the videos they want to make, this is not the only video who say I be actually sit down there, they watch everything from before, during, and after the event. I was there, so I'm giving you first-hand information. And they all spoke as well and acknowledged that it was great to be there. What happens next? Everybody marry, woman, they sing and they dance, food being cooked. It was okay. So imagine from 11:30, Sam Sumana was there. The official event actually started around 2:30 when the MC announced the order of the program. That's where it all started. Everything was peaceful. The MC said, the late pine body day, then they are about for arrival. He said within half an hour to 45 minutes, the body gave for arrival. But here is the order of the event. The order of the event, as he read, the family has agreed that the person will receive the body, the coffin, at the door upon arrival. Now a family member, the nephew of the late PC Kongoba, a no lesser person, but Chief Alhaji Sam Sumana. And he read all the other programs, on the agenda, including the fact that the current vice president is going to be there, the ministers were going to be there, paramount chiefs, wives of paramount chief, and other dignitaries were going to be there. He acknowledged everything and listed out the program. The moment that listing was that program was announced, some ministers disappeared, some people disappeared, phone calls were made. I could see from where I was sitting, but you couldn't. It was hard for even contemplate, say anybody would be so daft, somebody would be so evil as to think about a plan for disrupt that program that has been announced by the family. But it happened. About 10-15 minutes before the body arrived, straight away we just see this guy we then call Mamadi Baghdad, who is, by the way, the SLPP district organizing secretary for Kono. So he's an official representative of SLPP party. They came dressed in SLPP clothing. I could see green and white SLPP hats and written SLPP. They had a green banner that they came with, and obviously the banner of the late chief as well. There were two banners that they brought. They brought it shouting, "This now we funeral. This nobody takes care of this funeral. We will only allow somebody who want allow. Nobody who can dominate this, which we see." And then they happened. They came there, about 20 of them came, and they were parading, and everybody just stood away, observing the menace that was occurring at the time. So what happened next? They forcefully grabbed the mic from the MC that the family designated and announced that the late PC Kongoba was an SLPP member, and so the funeral is an SLPP funeral. So they are not going to allow anybody to speak that they don't want to speak. Only through them, only who they want to speak will speak. After about 10-15 minutes of them waju, they called them. That same guy, the way he dropped the mic, he give the mic to the other guy. He walked straight to Sam Sumana Sidon. I was there, I was sitting next to. It was just 2 or 3 people between myself and Sam Sumana. He came and sat there, and he stood there in front of the security. And the security guy, "Please move away." Because it was intimidating. After saying all that, he came there, stood in front of Sam Sumana. And security guy standing and said, "Please move away." So they try to usher him. That discussion where they try to get him for let him move away. We refuse. Then Kabale and all grabbing out. "Yeah, what's in?" They all came. They all rushed towards where Sam Sumana was sitting. So the security guys then form a line for block them. Sam Sumana at all that time was sitting at the back. He didn't even move. He didn't even shake. He didn't say anything. SSD officers came for try to stop. Then they were still pushing. And anyway, the thing coiled down. So there's still a zing, Madabio. This is true. It was like a movie, watching a horrible movie, a horrific movie at the time. Singing Madabio, at a funeral of PC Kongoba, who is the uncle of Sam Sumana. You understand? So then the program, they managed to call Sam Sumana. They said, "Let Sam Sumana go," because at that time they don't bring the body, they don't put her inside. Sam Sumana was supposed to receive the coffin, but he sat there. He didn't go anywhere. These guys were all over the place. Then bring the coffin inside, and then they invite the paramount chiefs, and then they invite Sam Sumana. And Sam Sumana say, "This is too chaotic. I don't want to go in there, and I don't want these guys, to cause any more havoc because of my presence. So I want to sit here. It is not safe for people out there. So I'll sit here. I'll sit outside instead of going inside." But anyway, the chief then insists. People insisted Sam Sumana for go and performing duties as it was listed in the program. So Sam Sumana said, no, he doesn't want to do that. He just want to go see a uncle and pay him farewell. He want to see the body, pay him farewell, and then come out. And they said, okay. So Sam Sumana, where they go inside into the house. Now, big fight. All these guys shouting, Marabu, throwing, pushing the security guys. Now wedge, and then form for Sam Sumana for making waka through, for go through with security guards. And we go inside, they want to go inside, and they draw the money, and then lock the gate. Sam Sumana went there, saw his uncle, came out the same way they come back, so fed, and they put them wave, whatever. A lot of people. So he come back, can't see the outside Sudan, then he say farewell, because it was getting so intense. Say farewell to other dignitaries that were in Sudan day, and they decide for left. Even when they left, now so they fall out and they shout, then stick them and what they call. And this guy when they called Baghdadi. Now one of the guys where they destroy SLPP completely. Nakono. I say this out of all honesty and sincerity, because in actions is so Kamajoris. In action is so bush-like, is so brutal, is so counterproductive to any level of civilization. You cannot imagine how horrible it was. And Sam Sumana is making his way to his vehicle for avoid all these dramas. He won't go. They rushed in. Now security guards then usher out Sam Sumana inside Motuka. First followed them. As soon as they shout, then get stick there and stone them. As Sam Sumana was driving up, then two stone them and the Motuka then broke in rear windscreen. Smashed. You understand? And that time when they rushed Sam Sumana to Motuka, this Baghdadi guy get nerf. He rush for chook one of the bobo the way the traffic guy. So the security guy making answer. A chap and I. You know how many stitches they give the security guy? 12 stitches last night. And then I bleed all over. Look at the photos. These are real photos that I took myself. It wasn't sent to me. And then another thing happened, then whap the other guy with stick and food, the other security guy for the wound him, then whap another guy, another security. There are 4 guys that were injured, then throw stone. Now the other guy in back, I believe his ribs have been cracked or broken. I looked at it, I felt it, it's so swollen, and back so swollen. The only guy, one beat and a chair in close, push him around. So that was the event yesterday. And imagine, all these people that I mentioned were there. Tambalamina, who is the Honorable Minister of Local Government, and his deputy, Honorable Tonane, was there. Honorable Jakanda was there. PC Foyo and so many Honorable chiefs were there. SSD officers were there. Police officers were there. None of them intervened at the time when Sam Sumana left. It was their duty for ensure the safety and security of all citizens. But they said nothing. So, if you look at all these people and caliber of people, if any one of these, like even the local government minister, anyway, nobody knows him, so he shouldn't have turned up anyway, Tambalamina. But let's say turned on him, people know him, Chakanda, people know him, know them in Kono. If any of these guys had got up and said, no, stop this, SLPP guys, stop this, they would have stopped. But none of them did. They were there and they witnessed everything. They said nothing. Sam Sumana was harassed, his vehicle vandalized, his security officers were brutalized, physically brutalized, and manhandled, and he left. So, in essence, what you make I want to present this to? For one, I want to get the facts. What happened? A peaceful statesman, a calm na event or in your event, in your cooling funeral, they can attack and they want to kill a day. This is what has happened. So I want you to get the fact. The second thing I want to get, I want to say this now the saddest moment in the history of Fiefdom Kono. Why make I say this? Because one, as Kono people, funerals na time where we show so much respect, we make even peace with your enemies. We don't try to kill them, not in your own home, as that has happened. Kono is open to all tribes, but when it comes to funeral arrangement of paramount chiefs, usually it's the Kono people that will stand ahead of that. We have traditions, we have cultures, we have values that we're supposed to be presented. Even I, here Thomas, I'm a Kono, I'm not allowed to speak at the paramount chief's funeral because of certain requirements that you need to have before you're allowed to speak. Mamadi Baghdadi doesn't have that. He's not part of it. He's been accorded the position of the organizing secretary of SLPP. He's not a champion of our culture, beliefs, and values. So it was really crazy to see that a statesman from our district is being handled in this manner. And let me tell you the funniest part of it. Up to today, not a single arrest has been made. If indeed the police in Kono are neutral, if indeed the authorities in Kono are neutral, why is it that not a single arrest has been made? But you know, at the end of all this, Sam Sumana didn't need to fight for anything. He owns this district. What do I mean by that? When there's election, he owns it. If Sam Sumana had been ACN small safe, those guys would have been smashed yesterday. They would have been massacred. All 20 or 22 of them would have been massacred. But Sam Sumana encouraged everybody to stay put. As a peaceful man, he's a global peace ambassador for Christ's sake. You understand? So imagine if things had gone out of hand yesterday. They would say, Sam Sumana go na talk renego start na uncle in funeral. They will have blamed him for all the horrible activities. And guess what? The moment Sam Sumana left was the same few minutes later, the Honorable Vice President Julia Jallo arrives. So it was a ploy to exclude Sam Sumana from his uncle's funeral. That is my assessment of it. You know, the Honorable Vice President arrives the moment Sam Sumana was chased out of the place. It is a sad history that we will forever remember. The last thing I want to say is that I don't know, I don't ever will read for how Biodi think, President Biodi think. But I want to advise them. If you want, let people respect you. Using and abusing power and authority is not the way. Now, the way that for the opposite happen, people will hate your guts. And 2023, they will vote against you in larger number than they intended to, because you are actually using your force against the innocent people. That is what happened yesterday. We pray for healing to occur in Kono. We pray for the masses to understand that what happened yesterday is an insult to Kono as a whole. Thank you for watching.